You know what I've realised? Most creators are not boring. They're just extremely vague. Vague about who they're talking to, vague about who they're for. It just feels like a lot of content creators right now, a lot of you guys, I'm gonna call you out of love, are just shouting into the void. And the first and biggest rule of business and owning a brand is this: if you speak to everybody, you attract nobody. You gotta give people a reason to hit follow. And this week I had a fairly big business win. This week I earned 40K in my business for the first time ever. And it's down, I think, to this simple one thing that has been hammered into me from the very earliest days of business. It is not about how aesthetic your content is. It is not about how often you post. It is about this one simple word that I think we've all forgotten: resonance. If people can't recognize themselves in your content, they scroll. If your caption looks like it could have been written by anybody on the internet, they scroll. If your content is not making anyone feel a damn thing, if they're not resonating with you, they'll scroll. So today we are talking about my favorite topic ever: how to speak to your audience. We're talking about the kind of content that makes people hit follow and go, oh, she's talking to me. This is your Speak Now training. Now, this training is going to be real simple. We're going to have two main sections. I'm going to be talking about your audience problem and your audience solutions. So let's get started. Now, the hardest truth that I want you guys to know: your content ain't bad. Half the time, I'm not seeing bad content. I'm just seeing content that could have been made by anybody out there. And it doesn't matter if you have the world's sickest personal brand. If you have got the look and the visual down, if you don't nail your voice, it won't matter. The visuals, they're what interest people. They are what stop the scroll. They are what get attention. But your brand voice, this is what makes people stay. And I think a lot of people, I used to think this as well, that brand voice means like the tone of your captions and your copy and what's written on your website. And they think it's like, oh, my tone is bubbly, my brand voice is professional. No, it's so much deeper than that. Your brand voice is about knowing who to speak to and what the F to say to them. So here's a quick example, because we love visuals over on this channel, especially visuals using celebrities. Let's take the fabulous Sabrina Carpenter. Now, we dissected her visuals a few episodes ago. They're on point. They grab attention. They're interesting. They bring it all together, right? But her voice, and I'm not just talking her singing voice, but it's her voice that makes people stay. It's what she's saying and who she's saying it to. Now, with Sabrina, she has this very flirty, borderline horny kind of brand voice. She's been known for this shtick that I think came from the Nonsense era. If you've been with her from the Nonsense era, you will remember this. Nonsense is one of her earliest, most blow-up hits, right? And at the end, she does this outro. And for a lot of her live performances, she would change the outro to be oftentimes something extremely inappropriate, something very, very funny, and it would always go viral.
Boy, that thing so big, I call it Wembley. I stay on that head and do it rent-free. Capital FM, you bloody wrecked me.
She's kind of ran with that as part of her brand voice. So now when you listen to her lyrics, they're filled with innuendos. They're so tongue-in-cheek and people just eat that up. And here's the thing. She probably isn't singing to, I love you guys, but she probably isn't singing to the super devout Christians. And I don't think either she's really singing for the men. She's singing for the girls. She's singing for the girls that have gone through a breakup, the girls that want to key their ex's car, the girls that are going through it. They're in the trenches. She's singing for them. And that's exactly the point. Not everybody is going to like her. Her songs appeal to a certain type of person and they put off, they offend. Some people are so against her music, and that is the whole point. Your content is not supposed to be for everyone. And I want you guys to hear that, especially my people pleasers out there. This is literally business 101 right now. And I think a great example actually came from Tess Barkley. I'm going to put her here. Love her podcast, love her content. If you guys like me, you'll absolutely love Tess. And she gave this example that I'll never ever forget. She basically said, Apple, wouldn't it be weird if Apple sold washing machines, right? It just wouldn't make sense. Apple stays in their lane. They sell phones, they sell computers, they sell headphones, and that's it. Wouldn't it be weird if they brought out a fridge? Charlotte Tilbury, she doesn't sell stationery. The same rule, the same principle applies to your content. You need to know who you're talking to in every single thing that you do. Every idea, every caption, every story. Your content should put people off. We're not here, we're not in business, we're not creating a brand to be liked by everyone. So if what I'm saying is making you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you're going to need to tell that people pleaser down inside you to shush. Because there is a bigger side effect that comes into play when we don't know our who. When you don't know who you're talking to, you start to mold into everybody else. You say what you think you should be saying. You say anything. You say what every other coach is saying, what every other creator is saying. We all have the same copy-paste captions and ideas and sound bites, but none of it sounds like you. And that's because you're out here trying to be everyone else but you. And that's why no one's listening. Everyone's out here trying to be palatable, trying to be brand safe. But the ones that are truly winning right now are the ones who are brave enough to be specific, the ones who are not rounding off their sharp edges. They're the ones who are super specific about who they're for and who they're talking to. I think a great example of this is Julia Broom right here. I use her as an example all the time. She has trailblazed, in my opinion, the content scene. She creates content for the matcha girlies, the Pilates girlies, the content creator influencer girlies. All of her content very Julia coded, but also very coded for the girls that get it. She creates for a very specific person in mind. And that is why she is trailblazing the scene. Are you ready to be a trailblazer? Then let's figure this shit out. Okay, so we're on to part 2, the solution. And the amazing part about this is not hard. This ain't like last week where we're trying to uncover deep-rooted mindset beliefs. Actually, it's very, very easy to figure out your person. You just have to be intentional. Now, ideal client work or ideal follower work, it's so much more than just downloading an ideal client worksheet off of the internet and filling in a bunch of checkboxes. That's not connection, my friends. That is data. And that shit is important. Trust me, that is important too. That plays a part. But your ideal client isn't a demographic. She's not data on a worksheet. She's a person. She is a human being with complex emotions and wants and needs and desires and struggles. So we're going to go through it all. So first of all, before we start, I want you to grab a notepad because you're definitely going to need one. And I want you to start with a fresh page. And I want you to think of, if you're a service-based business, you've definitely had your dream client before. So I want you to think of them. If you are a content creator or a YouTuber or someone, I want you to think of like your dream fan, your dream follower, your dream subscriber, your dream whatever you want to call them, and give them a name, because you know my biggest saying, when you name it, you claim it. So first of all, we're going to go through a few checkbox demographics because they are important, especially if you have more of a business. Some of the demographics that we need to know are things like their age. Now listen, number one thing that I think we all do when we're a business owner is when we first go into business, we aim to attract the 18-year-olds to the 80-year-olds. And here's the problem with that, my friends. The way that you would market to a 18-year-old is going to be so different to the language and the way that you would try and attract an 80-year-old customer. You are trying to cross like 3 or 4 or 5 even different generations with your marketing. So what I would recommend that you do is you keep it to 10 to 15 years max. This here normally spans one singular generation. It's far more easy to talk to and to find and to attract one generation rather than 4. Now, it doesn't matter if you have, say, you're going for Gen Z and you have, say, a millennial or a baby boomer come into your business and want to buy from you. We're not going to turn them away. I guarantee they could still be your dream ideal customer. But when we are talking to one particular demographic, we're just really able to nail that language and that brand voice. So give them an age, give them a name, and next, give them a location. Now, this isn't going to apply to everybody. Me, for example, I'm an internet-based business, so I don't really need to worry about location so much. A lot of you guys might be in that boat. If you're an influencer, content creator, location isn't necessarily going to be a big deal. However, if you are a brick and mortar business, if you're a service-based business, location probably does matter to you, because let's be real for a second. There are rich areas and there are poor areas. There are areas where there is more wealth and there are areas where people don't have wealth. That is just the long and the short of it. And when you are creating a business, let's just say you're creating a really upmarket, high scale kind of fashion brand, you're probably not going to put it in an area where it's not going to do so well. And the same goes for service-based businesses. If you are in the bridal industry, let's just say you are a bridal photographer, you might not want to cover certain areas, certain venues. That might not be where your ideal client hangs out. So just knowing a general area of where you would like to be based, but also where your ideal client lives, is going to help you just be able to talk to them and pinpoint them a little bit easier. Another thing to note down and just make a few notes around is their life stage. Like, what stage of life are they in? Because for me, when I was in university, I didn't really have disposable income. I certainly didn't have disposable income to spend on, let's just say, luxury handbags or a £2,000 course. So therefore, the stage of life that they are in probably determines how much disposable income they have. Very important if you own a business. You also want to note down, what are they spending their money on? Are they spending money on beauty and gym sessions, magazines? I don't know if they're still a thing. What are they spending their money on? And look at the brands and the businesses that they are spending their money on, because what you want to work out is what their normal is. If your client's normal is Gucci, she's going into Celine, she's getting champagne, she's holidaying the Maldives, she's only flying first class, you know your language and your normal, your business needs to fit in with her normal. To look at the branding and the pricing and the way that these websites are presented of the places that she is already shopping at and she's already spending money with. This is just going to help you start to create a business that feels normal to her. You want to also note down, where is she hanging out, like online? Where is she hanging out? Is she hanging out on Vogue, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest? And where is she not hanging out? I know for a fact a lot of Gen Z, they're probably not on Facebook groups. It's just going to help you understand where you need to go and where you as a business owner need to hang out as well. Really, the deeper that you go with this, the better. And I'm going to link down below a free worksheet. It's just going to really help you. I know earlier on we said we're not doing worksheets, but this one, it goes really, really, really deep. And once you're done with that worksheet, we're not done, by the way. We ain't done after that worksheet, but it's going to really help you figure out the demographics and the psychographics part of your ideal client. Now, psychographics are the juicy bits. These are like a layer deeper than your demographics. These are her fears, her wants, her needs, her desires, her wishes, her bucket list dreams. And these are all things you also need to speak to, because this is the stuff that actually moves people. If you are speaking to not just her age, but what she's scared of, what she's worried about, what she's excited about, these are all things that are going to help you connect. Imagine this little invisible string of connection. This is how you build that. And when you combine demographic clarity, which is who they are and where they hang out, with psychographic intimacy, which is what they feel and what they want, your message and your voice, your brand voice, becomes a lot clearer. Now you're not just speaking to the 28-year-old matcha lover living in London. Now you're speaking to a 28-year-old woman who's sitting at her corporate desk in London and she dreams of opening her own matcha store. She's scrolling on her phone and she is looking for someone to give her permission, for someone to show her how to do it, for somebody to inspire her into doing it. She wants to feel less alone in this, and she wants to be made to feel like it's actually possible. That's the girl you're speaking to, and can you see that difference? The first one, you're just making aesthetic matcha content for her. That's cute, but it doesn't really stop the scroll, does it? Now the second one, you've made content that's made her stop and think, wait, this person gets it. And she not only gets it, she's going to show me how to do it. Maybe I can do this now. You've changed something in her. And this brings me to something so important. If you can nail this bit, so good. And this part here is what I call identifying the moment. So now we know who she is, we know where she is in her life and what she wants. And this is where a lot of people stop with ideal client. This is as far as the worksheet goes. They'll build an ideal client avatar that will say things like, her name's Emily and she's 28 and she lives in London and she loves iced matcha and plant, Pinterest, and she wants to be a content creator. And that's cute. That's as far as it goes. It's helpful, but it's not enough. Because I don't know about you, but I don't really care what her coffee order is. I care about what's going on in her head before she finds me. Because to me, connection and resonance, they live in moments. And right now, before Emily finds me, she's in a moment of frustration, or maybe a moment of curiosity, or she's desiring something. She's in need of something. She's maybe frantically Googling something. And your content is going to either meet her in that moment, in that problem, in that frustration, or it's going to miss it. So let's do a quick check-in right now. I want you to go on your profile, whatever it is that you're building, whatever thing that's brought you to this video, your Instagram, your YouTube, go on it right now. Pretend you're Emily right now, and you have 3 seconds to identify, can you help her with that problem, with that frustration, with that moment? And remember, you have 3 seconds because we have the attention spans of ants. So normally when somebody lands on your profile, they have got 3 seconds before they have made a split decision on whether they're following you, subscribing to you, maybe looking at a couple of reels. 3 seconds. So in 3 seconds, has Emily identified whether you're going to help her? Is it instantly obvious? And that right there is probably your first homework. Make your profile so painfully obvious to your Emily that you can help her with that moment. You need to pinpoint the moment. Your job is to find that moment that she is struggling with, that pain point moment, that frustration moment, and talk to it. Talk to the moment. And if you need a bit of help with this, here are some questions that I want you to note down. What is she thinking right before she finds you? Create for that. What is she struggling with right before she finds you? Create for that. What does she wish that somebody in her real life was saying out loud in that moment of frustration? Create for that. Because if you can describe that moment better than she can, if you can talk to that moment, she'll trust you. She'll feel seen. She'll feel heard. She'll feel validated. And that is brand voice. So if you guys need a visual, just take what I do, take my account. So I create content for women. I create content for women in beauty, business, and content creation. For the women who are stuck, I create for the I don't know part, that I don't know how. I don't know how the algorithm works. I don't know how to film. I don't know how to create content. I don't know how to find my person. See what I'm doing here? I create for the people that are maybe in a job that they don't love, maybe in a situation that they don't love, because I've been there. I've been in those situations where I'm not in love with it. I'm creating for freedom and security and safety for women. So that is what I talk to. And hence, look at this series. It's a freaking series inspired by Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. So naturally, I'm talking to women, to gays, to theys. And listen, men, I've had a few men in my comments. You're welcome here too, guys. But I'll be honest, you're probably not my people because my language, my tone, my references aren't necessarily something that you're going to resonate with. And that's the point, remember, don't forget that. So that is what I create for. That is what I speak now for. Which reminds me, by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet, but welcome back to the Eras Tour, Kayleigh's version. This is a 12-week, 12-part series inspired by, you guessed it, Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. Every single week, I take an iconic era of Taylor Swift's and I put a business brand content creation spin on it. And listen, for the Taylor Swift hating people out there, I see you guys. And if you can put up with the 2 Taylor Swift references that I make per video, I guarantee you're going to learn something. But anyway, the girls that get it, get it. The girls that don't. This is your 12-part series that is going to get you on track, get your brand on track, your content on track for 2026. Are you ready for your Speak Now era? I'm wearing purple, by the way. I do have to apologise. I just need to apologise real quick because I decided to film so late today. It is currently 4:40 p.m. and I really underestimated how doom and gloomy London is today. So you're just gonna have to put up with this really cozy lighting setup. I promise we're gonna do better, but at least we have the FX3. Shout out the FX3. So anyway, back to your person. This is the version of the person that you need to hold in your mind when you're creating content. Not the dream client that has everything solved. The person who's awake, laying awake at 2 a.m, tossing and turning over their problems. That real person that needs something. Because connection, my friends, it doesn't happen in moments of perfection. It happens in moments of recognition. And when your audience feels like you understand the moment that they're in, they'll assume by default that you understand them. And when they feel understood, people interact, people follow, people buy from you. And this is why this step is everything, because if Sabrina Carpenter just had the visuals but didn't have the voice and the person that she was speaking to, you can look the part like Sabrina, you can do all the work in episode 1 of this series, but if you can't make them care, you'll never win a Grammy. So don't rush this bit. Go deeper. Go as deep as you possibly can. By the end of this, you should know your person almost as well as you know yourself. As I said, I'll link that resource down below, but you guys got this. So the next thing that we need to do is move on to our language. You've got your person, but how do we make that translate? Do it by step 2. Mirroring her language. Now, you might have done this before. You might have done your ideal client work before. You might have done it with me even, and you might be saying, Kayleigh, I have done all this. I speak to her in my captions. I speak to her in my copy. I speak to her on my website. I create content for her. Something still ain't resonating. I guarantee it's this bit. It is because you are probably speaking to her technically correct. Like you are using all the right technical terminology, but you ain't speaking her language. This problem occurs when people are trying to sound like an expert, and this really happens in the coaching industry. You're trying to sound like the subject matter expert when really we should be sounding like the friend that gets it. Because trigger warning, here is your one Taylor Swift reference, guys and girls. The reason why I think Swifties are so insane, I am Swiftie, Swiftie is me, by the way. But the reason I think they're so crazy about Taylor in particular, is because Taylor's lyricism has written to almost every single chapter of my life. She has written in almost perfect words, even words that I've not even been able to articulate, feelings and thoughts and chapters that I have personally lived through. Breakups, moving cities, situationships, friendships breaking apart, haters, meanies, you name it. She has articulated it better than I ever could. We have felt so seen by her music. And anyone can say this is an album for heartbreak, but not anyone can say, I'd like to be my old self again, but I'm still trying to find it. Comment your favorite Taylor Swift lyric down below, please. Real people aren't out here in their everyday, day-to-day language using words like alignment or scaling or 6 figs or 10x. They're using words like, I feel stuck, I'm tired. I can't figure this shit out. I just want it to work already. Can you see the difference there? It's the same problem. It's different language. So if your audience is saying words like, I feel burnt out, and you're using words like, I'm experiencing energetic depletion, you need to remind yourself you're not writing a dissertation here. You're writing to real people. And your job isn't to sound clever. Your job is to connect, to understand them. So can you see people, how brand voice goes so much deeper than just choosing whether you're going to be bubbly or strict or confident on the internet. It's so much deeper than that. So here is your new assignment, especially if you're struggling with this bit in particular, like the tone or the terminology that you're using, is I want you to, if you're a service-based business, go through your reviews, like go through any testimonials that you've received and look at, especially if you're on Google and you've got Google reviews, look at the common words that pop up over and over again, like the repetitive words that your clients are using about you, and literally steal their language. If you're a content creator, if you're a YouTuber, go through your comments and see what people like, the recurring questions that they're asking. Because if 5 people comment down below and they're like, I don't know what to post, that becomes my next hook. That becomes my next content idea. I don't know what to post becomes feeling stuck on what to post. Let's fix that. And before you post anything else moving forward, I want you to just check in with yourself before you hit post and ask yourself, would my audience say this out loud? Or if you want a cute abbreviation, WWTS, what would Taylor say? That should help you remember it. Using the same language as your clients, as your followers, this builds resonance. Now, this brings me to step 3 or 4. I've kind of lost count, but this is probably one of the most important steps on this entire training. And it's a pitfall that I think most of us fall into. I especially have at one point or another when we're figuring out our ideal client. Many creators, I'm about to say it, are very performative. And this is a trap that we all fall into if you're in the online space in any capacity. We create to impress, we create for validation, we create to get picked or booked or sell something. And it becomes, to be frank, exhausting, because every single caption becomes a pitch and every single post becomes book me, book now, and every single post becomes a test of whether we're going to finally get our flowers. And this starts to really mess with our message. With all of that work that we've just done, this is the part that starts to muddy them waters, because then when we start getting caught up on that, we start to lose sight over our person, what the heck we're doing this all for, who we're doing this for. We start obsessing over whether this is going to do well rather than, will this actually help people? Stick with me here, guys. Stick with me here. We're going deep again. But when you create for performance, when you're creating for like a booking reason or a money reason or a selling reason or a metrics reason, your content then has pressure on it. And I don't know about you, but when my content has pressure on it, performative pressure, I start to hate creating. But when you create from service, from helping somebody, from serving your person, your content has power behind it. Performance to me says, look at me. And I don't know about you, but the undertone of that can feel a little bit icky sometimes. It can come across as overly corporate, personalityless. It can come across as, dare I say it, desperate. And the tone of that, we can feel that. The audience can feel that. It's very hard to connect to that. When we create for performative measures, we lose all remnants of our personality, which is the personal, impersonal brand. But when your motive shifts, when you start to create for your person, when you're creating for service instead, the energy behind it all changes. You relax, you land differently. And those huge novel captions that we are spending agonizing hours over become 2 or 3 cool sentences that are way more easier to connect to. You start attracting people, you start magnetizing your brand. And I can hear what you're saying. For my business girls out there, Kayleigh, I need sales, I need money. That's like the whole reason why I'm doing this business, right? Of course you do, but here's the paradox that I want you to hear. Sales come easier when you stop gripping so tight to the outcome. I make far more sales when I'm trying to not make sales. Now, of course, if you have a business, I feel like it's giving Halloween vibes a little bit. I promise the next one we're going to film her way earlier in the day. Bear with me. But for me, I just always make far more sales when I don't concentrate on sales, when I concentrate on the person, when I do stuff like this. That is when I make more sales, when I'm serving from a place where my energy is just coming from a way better place. Because when you create from service, you don't chase visibility. You're not chasing metrics anymore. Your message, your energy does the work for you. It travels, it lands, and it finds who the heck it's meant to find, just like I hope this video has found who it's meant to find. And that kind of energy cannot be copied, my friends, and that is speak now energy. So your homework this week, if you choose to accept it, is to focus on the right thing. And the right thing is your person. By the time I upload our next era, more on that in a minute, I want you to have really, really figured out your person. And not only your person, the metrics, the demographics, the psychographics, but the wants, the needs, the fears, the moments. If you can nail the moments, you will have content ideas for absolute days. I can reel off a whole Eras Tour series because I know you guys. I know what you're struggling with because I've been there. and I know what to talk to. So if this video in some way helped you find and work out your brand voice and your person, I would be so appreciative if you clicked subscribe. And next week for my Eras Tour girlies is one of my favorite eras. This was the era where I truly became a Taylor Swift fan. It is the Red era. And this is going to be a very action-focused week because we are going to be focusing on creating your signature style and your signature series. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of content and I cannot wait because I'm sure you'll agree with me. Red was really the era for Taylor where she started to define her signature style. She really went super mainstream. So I'm really, really excited. I've bought a little red top for it. So I hope you will be joining me back then soon. Again, I apologize for how spooky dooky the lighting is in this one. I promise I will not film this late again. But anyway, please let me know if you've been with me for a little while. Let me know what has been your favorite era so far. I think this one has been my favorite era because listen, I told you guys I could yap about Ideal Client all damn day. Thank you guys so much for the love on the Eras Tour. I really, really hope that I can create something in the new year that is just as good as this. But for sticking with me, thank you. And I will catch you guys next week for the Red era. Until then, bye guys.